Hey guys, it's Sam, and these are books that I want to reread. Now, there are so many books that I want to reread. If a book is a favorite of mine, I probably want to reread it at some point, ergo why I keep it on my shelf. But these are the books that are like top of mind. I've been wanting to reread for a really long time and haven't gotten around to it, mostly because of TBR things and reading new things. But these are books that I want to revisit and have wanted to revisit for a while. First is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I have reread The Night Circus, which is my favorite book of all time by her, but this is a close second, or like probably in the top 5, and I have never reread it. I read it the first time when I first got it, loved it. It's so been looking forward to it, but like I feel like I want to revisit it, sit with it. I always get more things from rereading The Night Circus every time I read it, so I know that'll happen here too. I just haven't had the time, but this is one I definitely want to return to. Next is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a book that I have wanted to reread since I first read it. Like, I have loved it so much. I do want to see if it keeps in my feelings as highly as when I first read it. I'm sure it will. This is a book that like really started some genre favorites for me. So like A Corrupted Forest. I think this was one of the first books that I read, if not the first one, with a corrupted forest in it. And so it's been like the benchmark for so many of my favorite tropes. So I love it. I love the love story in this, even though it's very minor. I like the friendship. I like the pacing of it. It has a cozy, creepy feel to it, which is some of my favorite things. Yeah, I just really adore it, and I want to revisit it. On a similar note, not to make this just like a Naomi Novik fest, but Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, I also want to reread, not because it was a favorite, but because I didn't love it as much, and I want to see if on reread I would like it a lot more. I love Uprooted so much. One of my, again, top 5 books of all time. And so by the time this came out, I had such high expectations that this didn't quite meet. But so many people loved this. Like, a lot of people love this more than Uprooted. So I kind of want to revisit it now that I sort of have expectations more aligned with what this is and see if I like it more. I don't dislike this book. It just wasn't a new favorite in the way that I expected. And I really want to reread The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. I want to reread this whole series, and that's also why like it's a little bit more of an undertaking, and so I don't quite have time. But this finale is the best finale I have ever read in a series ever. I just want to enunciate how much this is just like so perfect. The interweaving of all the things, and again, has so many tropes that I really love. This has Death and the Maiden kind of trope. This has, like some sort of corrupted foresty stuff going on. This has Eastern European folklore. You're tying it into like history and religious trauma stuff, like a woman who's a witch in the woods kind of thing coming into her power, two equals romantically. Like, there's so much here that is so good and so perfect, and so many lines that I still think about a lot, and I would ideally love to read this winter. I don't know if that's going to happen. And I could honestly just read The Winter of the Witch. I know the rest of the books, like, it doesn't, like, I need to reread all of them, but I sort of want to. But this is one that, again, since I finished reading it the first time, I've wanted to pick it back up again. Another one that wasn't a favorite at the time, but has stuck with me, and so I kind of want to revisit, is Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. This is another Eastern European folklore. A lot of those on this list are that. This is following Kochi the Deathless and his wife Maria, and is its own unique retelling of like that myth. But Kochi the Deathless is sort of like this villain anti-hero in a lot of Eastern European folklore and stuff, and it's popped up in some of these other books as well. And when I first read this, there were things I didn't like about it, and I gave it 3 stars, but it stuck with me, and there are so many lines in here that I think of a lot, and it just is like perfectly embodying that Eastern European folklore kind of retelling thing, so I would love to revisit this. A book I've read more recently, but I think requires a revisit, is Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. This is a Baba Yaga story, so again, we're back to Eastern European folklore mythology, some of my favorite stuff. Maybe it's just very top of mind because it's fall, and it's like just that season, and that's why these are the books of all my rereads that I've wanted to reread the most. This is following Baba Yaga's descendants. They are given her house, and it's like interweaving Jewish history and culture and like the Jewish generational trauma and stuff with family trauma things and magic and, again, Baba Yaga and all of that. And it's just like so good. And I feel like the first time I read it, I loved it. And there's just things about it that I didn't absorb just because I was so overcome with how good it was that like I want to reread it and sit with it in the same way that I have multiple times for The Night Circus now. We have Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. This is a YA horror, like a YA contemporary horror that's taking place on an island in which like girls, I think it's only women, go missing every once in a while, and you end up finding out that there's just like sinister power, and so these 3 girls have to team up and like sort of defeat it, not quite with the power of friendship in that kind of like twee way, but like working together to overcome fear and like turning fear on its head and things, and it's just like so cool and such a cool concept. And so, yeah, this is one of the only books within this genre. Like, I like some horror-ish elements in a lot of my books, but this is the only one that's probably like truly horror. Well, I guess Juniper and Thorn is like pretty horror as well, but they're in the same vein. And this is one that I just haven't read in a very long time, and I would like to revisit because it also stands out as just like incredibly well written. And again, spooky season stuff. So this is maybe why some of these are top of mind. And finally, we have Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. This is the first book in her original duology that came out. This has one of my favorite female characters ever. The like mythos and the magic and things are so cool in here. There's a romance that is incredible. And again, so many lines in here that I think about, and I just want to see if it stood the test of time. Like, now that I'll have finished her other series, like, I will probably read this after I finish the Burning Kingdoms series or whatever of hers. I would like to go back and revisit this because this still stands out as one of my favorites of hers, and I would like to see if that is true on reread. So that is it for books that I want to reread. Again, most of my favorite books I want to reread, but these just feel top of mind for now. If you ask me in a few more months, some of these might change up. I don't know. Most of these are ones that I've had in my mind for a while, though. So comment down below, let me know some books that you really want to reread. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.